In episode 8, we'll start out with the aftermath of what happened in Thaisa's group. They can't lug around a dead body, so they decide to burn it. Shortly after lighting the fire, though, Van starts moving, and they quickly realize that she's not actually dead. So if you think you were having a bad day, Van just got half her face bitten off by wolves, and her friends tried to burn her. They wrap Van's face in bandages, and they start to head back to the cabin to get help. But back at the cabin, things have gotten awkward for the lovebirds. Natalie suggests to Travis that they go for a walk and try to hunt, but Travis says, "Nah, you go ahead. You're better at it than me anyway." So she heads off. While looking for animals, she finds Ben reading alone. She starts joking about how the hell he got Misty to go away. But Ben has to make it clear that him and Misty were never like a thing. And Natalie says, "Yeah, I figure she's not your type. You like guys, right?" Ben gets extremely uncomfortable, denies it, and Natalie feels like an idiot at first, but says, "Coach, it's just, you never look at our boobs. It's weird." That leads Ben to admitting that, yeah, he is gay. But because Ben is gay, she asks questions now about Travis. You find out that the issue with Travis in bed was that he couldn't get it up. Ben assures her, no, Travis is straight, and not only is he straight, he's infatuated with you. I see the way he looks at you. You have nothing to worry about. Believe it or not, that kind of thing can happen. While those two are talking about her quasi-failed relationship, Travis is actually doing the same thing with Jackie. He headed down to the water to check the fishing nets, which were empty. Jackie asks him, "Where's Natalie?" And he tells her that he told her to go hunting alone because he thinks he screwed this whole thing up. Jackie tells him relationships are fake anyway. Whatever he did, she'll get over it. And the fact is, Natalie's standards aren't exactly top level. Travis takes a little bit of offense to this, and Jackie says, "No, I wasn't talking about you. You're basically Brad Pitt compared to the scumbag she usually dates. Who's that Bobby guy she was hooking up with? I mean, she missed a week of practice because she was banging him in his van. And that Bobby guy just so happens to be the bully that used to pick on Travis when they were little kids. And Travis hates this guy. So when he finds out that Natalie was hooking up with him, he rushes back to the cabin and demands answers. After all, Natalie did say she only hooked up with 2 guys, and she never once mentioned Bobby. She admits she did hook up with Bobby, but she didn't tell Travis because she was worried that this was going to be the reaction. She says, "That was before I even met you. And I had no idea that he bullied you. I made a mistake." But Travis says, "Yeah, I guess I did too." Travis just can't get over it. Natalie can't believe he can't get over it. And it looks like that tryst lasted about 3 or 4 episodes. It doesn't take Natalie long to figure out who told Travis about Bobby. And she is not happy with Jackie at all. The next day, as everyone's kind of just chilling at the cabin, Misty, Mari, and Akila show up. They went ahead because Van and Ty were just slowing them down. When they get to camp, they're pretty mentally frazzled. Eventually, they do tell everybody what happened and the fact that Ty and Van are still out there. So a search party gets made to go bring them back. When they get back in the woods, though, it's dark. They're having trouble figuring out where exactly they were, but Ty, overhearing some commotion, shoots off a flare gun to indicate where they are located. And when the girls see what happened to Van, they're horrified. They bring her back to the cabin and start stitching her face back up, which is extremely painful. So the mission to go get help didn't work. And the next morning, everybody is awoken by Laura Lee, who tells them that she's going to take the dead guy's plane and fly south, find help, and get everybody out. The gas tank's full. She's been studying the flight manual for weeks, and it's their best option. Initially, the girls are pretty skeptical. Laura Lee points at Van and says she needs serious medical attention. And then Jackie speaks up, saying she's not the only one. "Shauna, tell him." And Jackie forces Shauna to tell everybody that she's pregnant. So now you've got 2 people that need medical attention. Ben, being the only adult in the room, tries to tell Laura Lee, "You can't go." But Laura Lee calls his bluff, saying, "What are you going to do to stop me?" And Ben knows the answer is nothing. Everybody then heads out, starts clearing off the plane and making a runway. While doing so, Shauna does ask Jackie, "Did you really have to tell everybody that I was pregnant?" And Jackie says, "How could I not? We have a chance to get you and the baby out of here. That's all that matters. It's not really the time to be keeping secrets." She never once tells Shauna that she knows that it's Jeff's baby. When the group clears off enough space for a runway, everybody says their goodbyes to Laura Lee. She gets in with the thought that this is her purpose. She takes off to applause and is even able to get the plane easily into the air. Although I will point out, no one thought to clean off the windshield. It's filthy. All of the girls head to the lake to watch Laura Lee fly off, but Laura Lee doesn't get too far away before her stuffed animal bursts into flames. Laura Lee sadly knows there's really no way to stop it. Jackie's the first one to notice that there's smoke billowing out of the plane, and then all of a sudden the plane explodes in the sky like the Challenger. The girls are in absolute shock, and Lottie seems to take it the hardest. Modern-day Natalie seems to be taking her breakup with Kevin hard. If you want to call it a breakup, I mean, it was really just a fling, but she's going on a little bit of a bender, and she even texts a drug dealer to get her some coke. When the dealer arrives, he gives her the cocaine. But all of this is being watched by Misty. And when Misty sees what Natalie's about to do, she knows she needs to stop her friend from making a mistake. So she leaves Jessica chained up in her basement, and she rushes off to the motel. When Misty bursts through the door, she finds Natalie cutting up lines on a plate. And instead of grabbing the plate and maybe throwing it outside, getting rid of the coke that way, Misty decides to snort the cocaine. And Misty can't snort all those lines, so that's when she decides to brush the cocaine all over the place. She then grabs the rest of the cocaine. They start fighting over that, and that goes everywhere. I mean, it's a real snowstorm. Natalie asks Misty, "What the hell are you doing?" And Misty says, "I couldn't just sit there and watch you ruin your life." And that's when it clicks with Natalie that she was being watched. She takes that owl and smashes it. She finds the recording equipment and starts demanding answers as to why Natalie was spying on her. Misty tells her friends watch out for each other. But Natalie points out they do. They don't do it, though, with hidden cameras. The two get into a pretty big fight, Misty pointing out that she just saved Natalie from relapsing, and she should get a thank you for that, because right now, Misty's really the only friend she has. And then it somehow gets into Travis's case and about how hard Misty's been working to solve it. She tells Natalie that she discovered that Travis's bank account was emptied out after he was killed. Natalie cuts her off, though, and says, "How can I even trust you? You're so full of crap." Misty ends up leaving, and with Natalie having no other leads, that night she does call the bank and try to get the information as to who would have closed out the account. But they don't give it to her because she's not a family member. When she hangs up the phone, she starts throwing things in the room out of rage. But her whole mood changes when she finds some of that cocaine in the carpet. And drug addicts will tell you there's nothing better than carpet cocaine. The next morning, Natalie heads to an NA meeting. She's not doing it, though, for her sobriety. She's doing it because she knows somebody there. And after the meeting, she runs into that person, and that person is not happy to see her. It's her old sponsor, Susie. The two had a huge falling out about 10 years ago. Natalie is able to convince Susie to go out to coffee with her, though. After all, AA and NA are all about second chances. Natalie tells Susie exactly what happened to Travis, and how he was murdered, but his bank account was emptied out the next day. She needs to find out who emptied that bank account out. And the thing about Susie is, she's a manager at the bank. She can get that information. But she tells Natalie, "I can't help you out. You're not family." Doing something like that could cost her her job. Natalie figured she might say something like that, so she blackmails her, because Natalie and Susie used to work together. Susie selling customers' account information to scumbags in the black market to feed her habit. Natalie tells Susie that unless Susie helps her, she's going to call the bank and tell her what she was doing back in the day. The bank can handle this two ways. They could be appalled and fire her, or they could look at her personal growth. Susie can't take that risk. So she curses Natalie out, but it appears that she will indeed get her the bank information that she needs. Over at Shauna's place, when she finally leaves the bedroom, she surprisingly finds Callie at the table. Callie had come back from her friend's place to change, and that's when she found something interesting by the couch. It was Adam's ID. She is mortified that her mother is now bringing this guy into their house under Jeff's nose. Shauna does feel horrible about the situation, but also points out to Callie, "I can't win with you. I mean, when I was turning a blind eye to what your dad was doing, I was the bad guy. Now that I do something in response, I'm even worse. I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't my proudest moment, but come on." Callie is disgusted at Shauna's behavior, but she's also concerned for her mother that she's getting into bed with someone that she doesn't even really know. When Callie Googles Adam's name, nothing pops up. No social media, nothing on Google. She's concerned that this Adam guy is into her mom just because of the Yellowjackets lore. That he'll be able to seduce Shauna into telling him all the secrets that Shauna knows about what they did out there and then selling it for a book deal or for a movie or to a news publication or something. Shauna, though, reassures Callie he's into me for me, but Callie isn't so sure about that. When Callie leaves, it gives Shauna a little bit of time to think about that. She does realize there isn't a whole lot she knows about Adam. The only thing she does know is that he went to a prestigious art school, so she decides to call that up and see if she can get his transcripts, but they have no record of him ever being a student. She gets off the phone just in enough time for Jeff to walk in and surprise her with a gift. It's a yellow dress, and he's very proud of himself. He thinks he hit a home run with this purchase. She's not really feeling it, but he did it because there's a reunion the next day for the homecoming court. Jeff was homecoming king, and Shauna married into that. Homecoming, though, is the last thing on Shauna's mind. That night, as the family is having a very awkward, silent dinner, there's a knock at the door. Shauna thinks that it might be Adam, and when she opens the door, she's surprised to see that it's not Adam at all. It's Taissa. Taissa tells Jeff and Shauna that she was canvassing the area, and she remembered that she lived there. Both women have to act like they weren't just with each other a few hours ago to Jeff. They go for a walk where Ty tells Shauna that she's sleepwalking again. Her bigger concern, though, is the fact that Biscuit, the family dog, is missing. She figures that she must have let him out while she was sleepwalking. She's really concerned that she's screwing Sammy up because Sammy really loved Biscuit, but the bigger concern is the fact that Sammy has seen Ty sleepwalk. And the fact that Sammy thinks there's another version of Taissa, a version that he calls the bad one, is really upsetting Ty. She confides to Shauna that she's afraid to go to sleep. She has no idea how bad it could get if she sleepwalks again. And she's telling Shauna all this because Shauna knows how bad it truly can get. Shauna offers Ty Callie's bed because Callie's not sleeping there that night. Ty doesn't want to go back home because she's scared of what she might do. That gesture means a lot to Ty, and she gives Shauna a big hug. As they're making Callie's bed, the two women start talking about what their lives would have been like had they not been in the plane crash. Shauna's would have been drastically different. The life that Taissa says literally happened for her. The issue for Ty is, she did all that, but it didn't really make her feel any better. They continue to chit-chat, and eventually Shauna opens up to Ty that she's having an affair. They start talking about how Adam makes Shauna feel, and that segues into how Simone and Taissa's relationship is okay, but it did kind of lose its spark. Ty ends up getting a pretty good night's sleep, and when she returns home the next day, she sees Simone and Sammy making up signs for anybody who might have seen Biscuit. When she gets Simone alone, she tells her about her sleepwalking episodes. They started out right after the plane crash, and after they were rescued, they stopped. She figures that the stress of the campaign popping back up has made the sleepwalking pop back up. She says to Simone, it's happening again, and it scares me, because the last time I did it, She doesn't really finish the sentence, though. She does tell Simone, I think I may have been the one to let Biscuit out of the house. Simone starts to console a crying Taissa. She gets down next to her and says, we will get you the help you need. We can get you a sleep study. We can get you... But Ty cuts her off and says, what I really need you to do is go take Sammy and stay at your mom's house for a little while. Simone is completely against that, saying that they're a family, they don't want to leave her. Until finally, Ty snaps and yells, you can't be here. You don't understand. I'm afraid I'm going to hurt you. Please, just go. And Simone goes, but she's at a loss for words. When Shauna woke up, she headed to Adam's place. He lets her in and he asks, what are you doing here? And she tells him that she realized their relationship was all about one thing, the sex. But she doesn't really know him. She starts quizzing him about where he went to school, who his favorite teacher was. And it becomes evident that this isn't a get-to-know-you kind of quiz. This is an accusatory quiz. It leads Adam to admit that he didn't go to that prestigious art school that he told Shauna he went to. He said that because he wanted to impress her. But that's the only thing he lied about. She starts asking him about brothers, where he grew up, and he answers all of that quickly and confidently. He apologizes to her and says, I've got a friend with a cabin in the woods in the Poconos. Let's go up there for a weekend. You can ask me any question. I'm an open book. Shauna looks at him and says, how exactly do you propose I explain that? And Adam says, I don't care. Just go pack a bag and come back here. So she does, heading home, looking at the dress that Jeff gave her, and then heading into the closet to go pack a bag. And this is the same closet that Adam was hiding in. And she notices that there's glitter all over the carpet. And glitter was all over the guy that extorted $50,000 from them. That's super weird to Shauna. Just to check, she decides to open the safe where she kept her diaries from what went down after the plane crash. And they're missing. There's only one person who would have taken them. So when she returns to Adam's, she doesn't have a bag in her hand. She's got questions. Mainly, who the hell is he? Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought this sucked. Make sure to be nice in the comment section. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen there, I'll get it up in a few days, not to worry. And I have merchandise, so go buy a mug or something. It's never too early to think about Christmas gifts, folks. Once again, thank you for checking out this recap.